Thank you for downloading And Happiness with Kitty Newman and
Klaudia Mitura.
Each week we'll take a topic through the alphabet, and if you haven't listened to any of our previous episodes yet, please go through and listen to A all the way through to I. And this week we are talking J for jokes.
And happiness, of course. Our dare was to make as many people as possible laugh. So definitely very funny and entertaining there. But this is our 10th episode. Exactly. So it is very special episode. Kitty, do you want to explain why it's such a special episode?
So this week we have a really amazing guest joining us. We have James Lance. James is an amazing comedy writer and actor and has been in some of the best comedies from Ab Fab, Alan Partridge. He was one of the lead roles in The Book Group. Do you remember that? Oh my God, I used to love The Book Group when I was younger. And then more recently, he's been in the film The Bookshop, which I know Klaudia absolutely loved. And recently released new series from Apple called Ted Lasso, which is about an American football coach coming to England. So you can stream that right now. It's being released. And we can't believe our luck getting James onto the show to talk about something he knows really well, which is jokes.
I mean, Kitty, I think this is my first time talking with celebrity. I literally feel my heart pumping.
So, hello, James. James Lance in the And Happiness house.
Hello. Nice to be here. Happy to be here.
Oh, that's really great. I'm so happy that you said yes to coming and getting in on our little podcast. It's amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for asking me.
This is episode 10. And so we wanted to have a big old celebration because it's been a joyous experience. So just to give you a run-up, we've done acceptance, boundaries, courage, dreams, empathy, freedom, gratitude, habits, innovation, and this episode is about jokes.
The most important of them all, I'd say.
Our dare was to make smile or laugh as many people as possible. So it was definitely a funny dare.
Did you take on the dare this week, James? I know when I emailed you, you were basically saying, well, I'll pretty much smash this. So
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I spend most of my time with a 2-year-old he is my son, not just anyone. And so I've kind of turned into a children's entertainer full time, and it's all about jokes. You know, it's just continual. So I'm kind of doing that most of the time.
Yeah, entertaining a 2-year-old, you have to be a high-end entertainment, but a different sort of entertainment to what you're used to in your work life. I imagine a different sort of approach.
Yeah. This is a lot more low budget. Like, for instance, we've developed Handy. Hello, I'm Handy, and that's as simple as that. It's a hand that's no bigger than I'm talking.
But Klaudia is actually in hysterics at it, so I think we're getting a level here.
So yeah, everything talks at the moment. This is where we're at. So everything can talk, from my hand to, you know, the sofa to the wheel of someone's car. It's just insane at the minute.
And I'm sure that for him that's absolutely hilarious, right?
Not always. He's quite a tough crowd, but most of the time, yeah, he's pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Well, in my dare, my other half said, you know what, you're kind of funny, but he said you cannot really crack a good joke. And that really left me kind of like puzzling about what is actually a good joke. I don't know if you can share any professional advice for people who want to entertain other people, but they're struggling with, you know, making a good joke.
Well, I think the element of surprise is quite important. You know, like if you set it up and say, oh, there's this amazing joke, And then as soon as you say that, it's like, oh no, okay, everyone's just waiting. So I try to sort of ambush people with humour. I find so when you don't expect it coming is probably the best. And I would say the other really important ingredient, what really makes people laugh, is honesty.
Oh, really?
I think so. Well, not always. Not always. It's not always the case. But I think it's got to have a level of honesty in there in order for you to actually, for it to resonate and you find it funny. You know what I mean?
In my day, I was trying quite hard to make people laugh. If I tried too hard, it was very uncomfortable. But there were 3 times. One, I was wearing a boiler suit as a fashion statement, and someone gave me a compliment. So then I pretended to be a mechanic, and so some physical clowning, being a mechanic. That sort of made him laugh.
And how did that manifest? Were you miming with a spanner or?
Yeah, I was like going around pretending to kick tyres and...
That's pretty funny.
And then I made an actual joke. I found a friend of mine we always have a laugh, and he congratulated us on the podcast and called me a polymath. And I said that if I was a Pokemon, I wouldn't be a polymath. I thought that was like an actual joke.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What was your friend's reaction?
Oh, hysterical laughing.
You fulfilled it there then.
And how was it for you, Klaudia?
Yeah, as I said, for me, it was usually my sense of humor is quite blunt and polished, and apparently for British people that's quite good because it's quite cynical. But I was trying very hard, like for Kitty, as Kitty, as I was trying to maybe do it a little bit too much, and I was really trying to crack a joke, and yeah, it was a bit like, that was a cringy joke. They were like, no, this is just not good, Claudia. Like, just stop.
So have you been trained in how to write jokes?
No, I haven't been trained in anything.
So it's come to you naturally as a comedy writer, comedy performer. This is a natural hilarity within your soul.
Yeah, I feel most comfortable sort of noodling around in comedy, for sure. I don't know why that is. I think initially it started off as a child actually just wanting some attention. I was loved and adored as a kid, but it wasn't enough. I wanted more. And so when I stepped onto the stage at school, and I think I tripped over, I was playing one of the brothers in Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. I think I was Reuben, and I think I tripped as I came on and got a laugh, and that was it. I found my career. We're on.
Element of surprise.
Yeah. Honest.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we welcome the accidents, I think, most of the time.
The psychological research says that in order to make a good joke, you need to violate a certain norm or a rule of some kind. So there has to be an event and people have to be expecting one thing, but the joke breaks that expectation.
Yes, absolutely. And also, it just is sort of a build-up of pressure, isn't it? And then it's just quite a violent release of pressure. And oftentimes, the more violent the release of the pressure, the funnier it is, I find.
Violent is an interesting word in this context.
I choose that on purpose because I think it actually is, because there's something about the sabotage of, so say, for instance, you're in quite a serene setting or a serious setting, quite a grave setting. Then if you sabotage that, it is quite violent, really, on the atmosphere. And then it's actually just really funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm being really basic now, but for instance, if you were at a wedding and someone said, is there anyone here who...
If any of these people should know of a reason that they should not be wed?
Yes, then please say so now. And then you've got that moment of tension. That window there is perfect for anything that's other than silence, right? So if you were to literally, I don't know, even if you were just to make a noise, like any bodily noise at that moment, it's quite sort of violent, really, in that space, and it could be really funny.
Totally. Abrupt.
I can give you an example, actually. I've just thought of something. So I was in a film festival, and they were showing Apocalypse Now, and it was the Redux. So it was the new version with all this amazing stuff that he'd taken out, the director's cut. And there's a very famous line in it where Marlon Brando says, the horror, right? And this film had gone on for a very long time, and everyone was hotly anticipated, really packed theatre, and it got to that sort of iconic moment in the movie when he goes, the horror, and then perfectly in time, someone just went, and the whole place was just floored. And that's the only thing I can really remember about that amazing film.
But that also shows you how jokes are such a social experience. We have we need to have other people around us to actually create that atmosphere and crack a good joke.
Yes, definitely. I'm much funnier when I'm on my own, but no one else gets to see that, so that's a shame.
If you make yourself laugh when no one's around to hear it, did the tree really fall?
Did the joke really get told? Yeah.
Yeah.
James, would you go through any process of setting up a good joke? Like, do you have any certain creative process that you follow? How kind of the jokes get created?
For me, it's sort of about context and circumstance. So when I do a bit of writing, I don't kind of think, right, I'm going to sit down and do a joke. I'm sort of going into the kind of trying to be as authentic to the situation as possible, and then out of that will come the humour. And normally it's something that's just really inappropriate, and the more inappropriate it is, often I find the funnier it is. Yeah. So again, I guess that comes back to sort of honesty and surprise.
But where is that line when the joke is inappropriate but still funny and we still find it hilarious? Or where is the line when it's inappropriate and we kind of almost like cringe, like, this is not a good joke? They are jokes like that.
Yeah. I mean, and someone like Ricky Gervais is kind of a master at that, isn't he? I guess that just comes down to taste, doesn't it? Whether or not you think it's okay or not. I watched a documentary and there was all these comedians talking about humour, and at one point someone said, is there anything you can't joke about? And lots of people gave lots of different answers. And then it came to Billy Connolly. And he said, as far as he was concerned, it's all about your intention. And as long as your intention is set in the right way, then you should be able to joke about anything. I love Billy Connolly. I think he's a master. Beautiful man.
And what type of benefit jokes bring in life to you, to your close ones?
Well, I was thinking about this a little bit this week, because I'm generally kind of I wake up most days reasonably jolly and reasonably with a sort of a sense of humour, I think, most of the time, not all the time. And when I'm interacting with people, I think I'm generally looking for the joke. And I was thinking, well, why is it I do that? And I think it's a leveller. It's like it's an emotional leveller where you can just kind of connect with people and say, we are sharing something here, and so we're kind of the same. I think it's really important socially, and I use it most of the time. I also think I hide behind it a little bit as well, but I also think I use humour to reach people and just connect with people. So I think it's really, really important.
Because I have a quite interesting research in here when I start looking into sense of humor and jokes and why we're actually doing it. I mean, we have entire industry set up around jokes and entertainment. So it turns out that in 2003, the scientist called Rod Martin, he created a humor style questionnaire, which is first scientifically validated a measure of humor. And he said that depending on the style of your humor, and he distinguished 4 specific styles, you're gaining 4 different benefits. So first of all, I think this is the humor you are mentioning. It's called affiliative humor, which means we cracking jokes and engaging in banters because we want to connect with other people. It's a way of communicating with other people for us. Then we have self-enhancing humor, which is more about coping humor. So we laughing at ourselves and absurdity of situations because we want to feel better as a result. So we're trying to cope with stress. Then we have aggressive humor, which is more about sarcasm and teasing and ridicule. And it's about we want to feel better about ourselves. So we're upset with something, but we're trying to protect ourselves. And final one is self-defeating humor, which is attempting to get other people to like us by putting ourselves down. So we're making a jokes of their own expense. Any thoughts?
I mean, I think I dip into all of those, but affiliative was probably the one I employ the most, I would say. Self-deprecating. What was the last one?
Self-defeating.
Oh, self-defeating.
Yeah, self-enhancing was like I enhance myself because I'm kind of laughing at my situation, right? So something bad happens to you and you just crack a joke about it. And that's self-enhancing. Whereas self-defeating it's more about putting myself down. I'm making jokes at my own expense so other people like me.
Yes.
Kitty, which one do you think you kind of dip into?
I definitely try and make friends through being funny. Like when it was being the mechanic, it was like, oh great, someone's giving me some attention, is it? It's just trying to connect in some sort of silly way. They haven't mentioned being a mechanic. They've just given me a compliment, but I've tried to make it into something silly. You could say that maybe I felt a bit uncomfortable by the compliment and wanted to put myself down a bit, maybe, because I didn't feel comfortable with the compliment. But actually, I think it was just trying to make friends, really.
Yeah, so that's social acceptance. I definitely also like to use it when there's tension around and there is something bad happening and just like say a joke to kind of bring the tension down. So kind of try to cope with stress.
I think that's the one I use the most as well.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm not very good at because I don't feel very confident in those situations when it's like high stress and maybe like, freeze up. But actually, I wish I could do that and relieve everybody's tension and just to have everyone relax and shake it off because, oh, thank God someone's been funny and now we can all just relax.
I use that one really a lot as well, actually. If anything gets a little bit tense, I'm instinctively looking for the joke to pop that tension, to relieve the tension. I'm doing that all the time. I've done that to my detriment as well, where I've sort of said a joke in a really tense moment and it's lost me work and it's lost me, I don't know if it's lost me friends, but yeah, it's because it's powerful, and I think it's a powerful thing actually. Comedy, it really is, isn't it? It can completely change the atmosphere in a room in a heartbeat. It's quite interesting that I love that about it.
Yeah, I really love the build up that you can get. So another note that I took of my day this week was my sister's just had a baby.
Congratulations, lovely.
Thank you.
Well done, you.
They don't prepare you for being an auntie, honestly. I had to call Klaudia and be like, what do I do? I'm full of so many feelings. But I find me and my sister have a sense of humour that we just click into, and her boyfriend's like, what are you even laughing about? So I had the baby making my own like poo-poo song up, and my sister was laughing so much. And I just kept going and going and going, and I wouldn't stop. And sometimes there was like a dip in her laughter, but I knew it was going to come back. So I just kept singing this song, and it was not a good, clever, funny song. But we just tapped into some ridiculousness of each other. I mean, she's also exhausted, so she probably was going to laugh at anything. But that doesn't seem to be based in much of the theory of it. It's just ridiculousness of, I don't know what that's about. What's that one about, where it's not got any substance to it, but you've just connected to something? That's a bit more like clowning, I suppose, maybe.
Yeah, and it's sort of fun for fun's sake, isn't it? And the further you take that, I think the funnier it gets.
Yeah.
Quite often, like, the comedian Stuart Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love how far he takes things now. It's just, I do think he's a comic genius. I've seen him so many times live, and I've been in audiences where you can see people a bit divided with it, and I've literally not been able to breathe because I'm in hysterics at how far he's taken a joke. I love that. I remember hearing a really funny joke. I read it once, and I just loved it. It was someone talking about Will Ferrell and saying how funny he was. And he said they were at this party one time, and then Will Ferrell was there, and he just kind of disappeared or whatever. And then they're out sort of on the veranda of this house, and then you could just sort of see these car headlights really slowly coming towards the house. And they could hear the music, and it was always Phil Collins, I Can Hear It Coming in the Air Tonight, And just really slowly, just pulling towards the house. And everyone was just like laughing away because they knew it was him. And then the drums and all of that. Anyway, and then he disappears. But anyway, he just kept on doing it all night long. and the more he did it, the funnier it was. And that, I love that kind of thing.
Getting more ridiculous and ridiculous.
But it also shows you how much the laughter is contagious, isn't it? Like, you know, once someone starts laughing, then, as you said, like, it's like everyone starts laughing and you cannot almost stop. It's that contagious.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, this dare really did make me feel happy. As happy as the gratitude week. I think it's my other absolute favourite, because I was really consciously trying to do it. I think I try and be funny anyway because I think it's nice, but actually thinking about proactively making people laugh was really nice. And then, because I went out of my way to phone people that I knew I'd be able to make laugh, like our friend Dave. I just called him and we just had this really good half an hour, really funny chat. And I was like, yes, what a great use of time. It was not productive in any sense of having something at the end of it. But I was like, yeah, that was such a funny chat. And my sister making her laugh, I was like, oh, what a wonderful moment that was. It just made me feel really happy.
Yeah, it does make you feel good, doesn't it? I mean, there's nothing better than making someone laugh, I don't think, actually. I love it. Sometimes I'll think of I'll find a really old friend who I've not spoken to for literally years, call them up, and if they pick up, just speak to them really normally. Just be like, where are you, man? You're late. You know, I love that. That's it's a good icebreaker, that one. Yeah, it's a nice one. The other one I really love as well is if you've been hanging out with friends or whatever, and then at the end of it, just say as you leave, just shake their hand and say, thanks so much. You've been a great help today. It's really silly. But I like that one. Or sometimes my mum will like put a cup of tea down. You know, something I say, oh, I forgot you worked here. Thanks. You know. That, I just like silly humour like that.
So there must be some actual benefits to making people laugh in terms of your
well-being. There must be.
Yeah, so laughter, lots of benefits for happiness and for our well-being. First of all, it relaxes our whole body. It boosts our immune system. We have a nice shot of endorphins, so our cells are happy and high. Help us with our heart rate as well, and our entire brain gets involved in a good laughter. So yeah, it's amazing. It's like our entire body just relaxes and gets this shot of positive happy hormones. Quite interestingly, laughter is not learned. We programmed by our genes to laugh, which is very interesting. We somehow naturally know when to laugh at the right time without actually consciously knowing why we're doing it. So that's, I think, quite fascinating. Lots of biology coming in there. Definitely when I get sick, I like to watch a good comedy, just to give myself my immune system a good boost.
So it could be prescribed. This has just reminded me of, Nina Conti. She did a documentary, about clowning in hospitals. I think it was in France. And you saying there about how it relaxes, it boosts your immune system, prescribing comedy, or I don't know.
Can you imagine going to the doctor and they say, okay, you have to drink water and take a Nurofen, and then you need to have 3 hours a day of good comedy or good comedy stand-up. That's what you need to do.
It makes sense.
At the time of recording, there is no live comedy. I wonder if, hearing about how good it is for us to have a laugh, if there's a bigger concern for the lack of live comedy, other than the performers themselves. If it's contagious laughter, and how hearing other people laughing around you makes you laugh more. When I've been watching the live TV recently, that's on Zoom, where they don't have a live audience in, and you're watching it from home and you'd normally laugh along, and they are doing their best, and it's not a criticism at all, but I'm not laughing as anywhere near as much, because that crowd and that audience that you hear encourages you to laugh and makes you feel a bit more comfortable to have a laugh at home. So if I'm on my own, I can sort of make myself laugh on my own, but not really. But I'll watch a TV show and have a laugh. But you don't have that at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? I think I'm really missing a bit of that, to be honest with you. I saw a friend the other day, and who really makes me laugh, and it was so good to just laugh with him. It was brilliant. It was, yeah. I was thinking about it. I just feel so much better for having seen him the other day. That's funny. It's interesting.
There is definitely studies that show that people are 30 times more likely to laugh in the presence of others than alone. So we do need other people to have a good laugh.
Yeah.
And I've actually read that this is the reason why they, as Kitty already mentioned, why they added the laughs on the TV sitcoms. So you have laughs to kind of boost your laughter, so even if you're watching alone.
Right, yeah. And I can say, as like being on stage, when you have like a couple of big laughers in the audience, it just gets the crowd going for sure. And it's really good. And people can be scared to laugh as well, actually, in crowds sometimes. Like sometimes you can, when I've done comedies live, and you can just, particularly if it's a play that I'm used to doing, then you can just get some nights that are really, really, really quiet. But then again, they say, you can't hear a smile. And there's something about, sometimes when I find something like really hilarious, I sometimes go quite quiet as an audience member, because I end up kind of studying it and just sort of, I don't know, looking at it slightly forensically and but enjoying it just as much.
That's a tough job for a comic, isn't it? Is that, a death. I wonder what the difference is to receiving the comedy and putting out the same show and having those laughs. Because I've listened to a lot of podcasts around, I think the Comedian's Comedian probably most significantly, where they talk about like the actual behind the scenes of how they're performing and writing and things. And a death on stage for a comic sounds like the most painful thing not the most painful thing I can imagine, but it sounds awful. And to go up again and to keep doing that and to keep putting yourself through this, when you get the laughs, that must be so amazing to make up for all of that potential death.
Yeah. Usually when I go to the stand-up comedy and I laugh so hard, then I get picked on. Like, oh, this person clearly enjoys my show. And then I get, they start talking to me and I'm like, no, this is not why I was laughing so hard. I was actually enjoying myself.
Comedy's an interesting and weird and wonderful thing, isn't it? Or as my friend would say, comedy's a funny thing. A strange and funny thing happened to me in comedy. So I was on stage. I was playing Bertie Wooster in Jeeves and Wooster, and the show was going really, 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 really well. And there's lots of wordplay. And as Bertie, I was sort of chatting away, and blah 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 blah. And someone in the audience did a big sneeze, and I just went, "Bless you," and then carried on sort of talking when I was talking, and it just got this like really lovely big laugh. And afterwards, my friend John Gordon Sinclair, who's playing Jeeves, said to me, "Wow, that was just so great. The timing of that was brilliant." I was like, "Oh yeah, cheers, thanks." And it was what sort of just made it funny was it just brought the audience into the now of the moment. So there was the honesty thing I was kind of talking about, and there was an element of surprise with it because I wasn't expecting my character to break the fourth wall. So I come off stage, that's right, and he says, "Oh, that was really funny, that was great timing." And I said to him, "Man, do you know that's really weird?" I said, when I was about 13 years old, I was watching a show with the school that I was with. They took us to see a show, and it was called She Stoops to Conquer. And the actor, Donald Sinden, was on at the front of stage, and he was chatting away, he goes, blah, 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 and someone sneezed in the audience, and he went, "Bless you," and carried on. And he got a really big laugh, right? And unbeknownst to me, I'd literally, so 30 years before, I'd seen that happen. And basically, that gag was just subconsciously up my sleeve for that moment. The next day, John comes in and he says, "Who are you going to kill today?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You read the paper?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, Donald Sinden died last night." And I was like, "What?" And so Donald Sinden, via me, got a big laugh, because he really did get a big laugh in the West End on the night that he died. Isn't that a weird bit of connective sort of, I don't know, something?
Well, that's actually a great little ending. The killer punchline.
It's a killer punchline, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That was really, really, really fun. Thank you.
Oh, it's great. I really enjoyed it too. It's good. I'm glad that it's good, isn't it? Have fun and tell jokes. It's cool.
Oh my God, Kitty, that was so amazing. Wow.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I had so much fun. So kind of James to come and take some time for us. I really appreciate it. It was very insightful.
Yeah, it's amazing to know that the good joke is about violating a norm or a rule of some kind, and it needs to be relatable to people, honest. There has to be a little bit of a surprise, and it is a very social element. It is involving other people around us. I found also very interesting those 4 types of humor. Do you remember them, Kitty?
So yeah, affiliative, self-enhancing, aggressive, and self-defeating.
And it's so interesting to see that they all lead to additional benefits when it comes to our social connections. And we all felt that through the dare, cracking a good joke can boost our happiness and those around us. And the laughter has so many amazing benefits for our well-being. From endorphins to our immune system, to relaxing our body, helping with our heart. Amazing. I think really we should be on the hunt for a good joke every day.
Yeah, good idea. Let's all go joke hunting. Next week is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Now, what do we have for K?
I think we said kindness.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
That's also nice, yeah. But is it a little bit predictable topic?
Well, K for kindness, it's maybe quite predictable. We all know that kindness is a good thing, but actually I don't know whether I do enough kind acts in my day to other people. I go about my life trying to be as good as possible, but some of these shows that we've done has maybe highlighted what more I could be doing, especially Dreams episode, where I'm quite looking quite a lot at myself. It would be good for me to push myself to actually give more outwards.
And I think kindness could be also quite interesting from a perspective. Is there a moment when you are too kind and you care too much about other people, and maybe because of that you are not protecting own happiness?
So this week's dare, and we dare you at home to do 3 acts of kindness to complete strangers and see how you feel and whether that makes you happy.
Excellent. I'm so looking forward to being kinder this week.
Me too. And thank you everyone for listening. We've really loved all the feedback. If you can subscribe and review and tell a friend to listen, we will be very happy.
As always, we dare you to be happy. Bye.